Thank you so much, sir. And to have you as my teacher has been my source of happiness as well. Because we all remember your wonderful jokes. That always lightened our sessions. And of course, it was so nice to learn things from you. It was your notes for history, etc., that I've always kept referring, never had to see any other source.
Hello everyone, this is Umesh, History Faculty at Manchester IAS, and today we have with us Mr. Gurharsh Singh, Rank-7, Indian Forest Service for the exam which has been conducted in the year 2021, and he has been a student of Manchester IAS and a very close associate of all the faculties who are here, and it's a really pleasant experience of teaching him too. And at the same time, so it feels like a very proud movement for our institute to interact with a person like Gurharsh Singh. So today let us talk to him and let us try to find out some interesting information from him, which can actually help students in preparation of IFOS. And a little introduction about Gurharsh Singh is, he is by far the best student that I have ever had. Actually, from for quite some time, I always keep him in my mind when I used to take my classes too. So it has been really a very, very good experience, and he is one of the most humblest human beings that I have ever met. So today we are going to have a talk with Mr. Gurharsh. Welcome, Gurharsh, to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, sir. Those were very generous words, and it's a pleasure to be with you after a rather long interval now. So really happy to be interacting with you today.
Gurharsh, so let us actually think about how this journey of yours began, and how were you able to finally land up in the Rank-7 in the Indian Forest Service. If you can give a brief on your preparation, then it would be great for students.
So the honest answer is that nobody really knows what actually makes them land a particular rank. So is the case with me. But in retrospect, when one looks back, there were certain things that I think I did right in my preparation of the Forest Service exam. Of course, one works hard. That has been one, that is how one has studied throughout one's career. But in these kind of competitive examinations, what I understood eventually was one has to be very clinical. For people like me who choose to read a lot, there is a tendency to digress from the need of the exam. And that was the difference in the Forest Service examination, because also of the limited time that I had, I was extremely clinical in how I studied. And I think that was the foremost factor which ultimately led to whatever success that I ended up achieving in this.
So a clinical approach towards the preparation is something which is required for both the Forest Service and UPSC examination. The examination which is conducted for IAS and IPS.
Yes, absolutely. Because there is so much available, and we all get interested because we are curious beings. So we get all interested in reading a lot. But eventually, at the end of the day, you have to reproduce the knowledge in a limited amount of time in the real examination. And for that, a very focused, coordinated approach is needed. Reading randomly here and there and not having an overall plan for the exam is, I think, why many of the most hardworking and really sometimes intelligent people end up not clearing this competitive exam.
What has been your strategy for IFOS preparation, and what have been your options?
So my options were forestry and geology. I think the salient point about my strategy for IFOS was the clinical approach that I followed, because I had very less time to prepare, and these were two brand new options that I had taken up. So every day of my preparation, I was looking at the amount of syllabus that I had covered, and the day and night only one thought was within me, that I have to finish the syllabus as soon as possible. So I think when one prepares in this kind of a way, that is the proper way of preparing for the competitive exams, even for the CSE. One cannot digress. one cannot get into the mode of reading a lot for the sake of the joy that reading activity itself brings. And so one should be clinical, and at the end of the day, it is to just finish the syllabus in the appropriate way so that one is able to write decently good answers.
Yeah, ma.
So, what has been your approach towards geology? What kind of books did you follow? And forestry, what kind of books?
So, forestry is a very straightforward subject to prepare. In fact, so many of the aspirants these days, everybody takes forestry as one of the options because everything has been covered in one standard book, which goes by the name of Manikandan and Prabhu. So all one has to do is go through the same book multiple number of times. The previous year questions are also given and prepare accordingly. So even in a limited time frame like 40 days, one can easily cover forestry for the sake of the exam, not forestry in its spirit, because that's a big field. But for the sake of the exam, one can certainly do. Geology is a little bit more challenging because you do not find it all consolidated at one place. And I would certainly recommend it to the aspirants that they find somebody experienced with geology to just help them do better in that exam. Because certain parts are very technical in nature, and even for IIT engineers, it may not be easy to follow that without some kind of a guidance. But forestry, I think, can be done from the book.
Okay. So, what has been your approach towards prelims? Because every one of us know that the forest service cutoff is usually higher than the UPSC CSC cutoff. So, what has been your approach towards preliminary examination?
So, prelims has been the most interesting part of this journey because, and I have given a number of prelims now, so I know what worked for me and what did not work. So, certainly, what I now can understand is prelims is a function of two things. It's knowledge and also strategy and tact of solving the questions there. Of course, a basic degree of knowledge so that you have a sense of confidence that you are equally good to any other aspirant out there is certainly needed. But then lots of practice is needed to actually mark those questions about which you have no knowledge also, because unless one gets that skill, it may not be possible to follow clear prelims, and that is what I did in both these attempts where I cleared the forest cutoff. So, and there are a number of candidates who have developed this knack, and they have their online presence there. And so I think it will be fruitful for aspirants to go through those channels and get to know what these people have developed, which helps them clear prelims time and time over and over again. But I must also tell you that in a association with you and Manjunath sir, etc., so there was a lot of insight developed in how to go about solving prelims questions. So I think it's a function of knowledge and strategy both. Merely knowledge would not help, but it is an essential component to develop the confidence that you can go out there and you would know that if you don't know this particular question, that nobody else would know. So that much knowledge is certainly needed.
Yes, I think our approach towards the examination was also very much in tune with what the prelims approach was.
Yes.
And this year in particular, some questions have directly come
That has always been so much of this has directly landed from what has been taught in the classes. So I think it's always necessary for an aspirant to associate with people who have understood the demand of this exam. As the manifest logo also goes, the CSE way or the wisest way. Yeah, because the faculty here, they have toiled and they have really understood the demands of the UPSC. But one must add a caution that UPSC is always a step ahead of whatever we may try to decipher. So it's an interesting game, of course.
Yes.
That keeps going on.
Okay, so and what was your approach towards interview in IFOS? Because I know that you have got one of the best scores in interview. So what has been your approach towards interview, Gurharsh?
Yes, sir. So both from my CSE and the forest interview, what I am of the opinion right now that the board is looking for people with genuine human qualities of integrity, humility, etc. And if they do find these qualities in a person, they are ready to give marks. So, because as it is clearly said also in the interview syllabus, it's not a test of knowledge. And that was, I did not have confidence about my knowledge. But I went there very honest and upright, and I was always prepared to say the truth, irrespective of the kind of question that may be asked. And I think that is what worked for me. As far as the preparation is concerned, of course, it is like standard. You prepare your DA very thoroughly. You do your current affairs, which are even apart from environment, because general all round information is asked. And for environment related stuff, I think the standard books that we all refer to would suffice for the interview as well. But really, the interview is about honesty and integrity in my opinion.
Very, very nice. And can you give any brief tips about how to clear IFOS examination? I mean, brief tips, okay, according to your opinion, what can be followed, okay, or what is necessary? One is clinical approach that you have already pointed out. Apart from that, any other tips that you can give?
Yes, sir. So, if we compare it to the CSE, the prelims is definitely tougher because you need to score 10, sometimes more marks to clear the forest cutoff. So every forest aspirant should focus on prelims a lot more, and he should develop that knack of answering the prelims questions. That would be the first thing. To their benefit, the mains is comparatively much easier because the level of competition in the forest mains is lesser, because many of the genuine forest aspirants end up not clearing the prelims, and many who end up clearing the prelims are not interested in the forest as their first priority. So they just go and write the exam. So the level of competition that the aspirant would require in the mains level would be lesser compared to the CSE. So if even if one has 40 days, as even I had, if one just does not give up on this, that the time is too less, but puts in the effort to complete the syllabus, there is a very, very high chance that they'll end up clearing the mains and getting the interview call. And then, of course, in the interview, it's, as I said, a matter of honesty, integrity, in my opinion, and that will give you good marks in the interview to clear the overall examination.
Okay. So, and to our audience, can you let them know what is training like for Indian Forest Service?
So, our training has started, and my initial impressions are it's a call to immerse oneself in the natural world. So hitherto in our preparation, it's a very peripheral environment, and forestry is not touched at all. But now it's a call to really immerse oneself in biodiversity. Just we are having our sessions, and it's a technical subject at the end of the day. Of course, we have all kinds of notions of getting holidays in the pristine places, and forest guest houses are quite famous amongst all sections of the society. No, but at the end of the day, it's a very technical subject. It will require a lot of application and also an ethos of preservation and conservation to really be the safeguards of the most important resource, which is the natural resource.
So, by what you are saying, actually, I feel that Indian Forest Service is one of the best services out there. But UPSC aspirants, most of them, they don't pay enough attention to the examination. Yeah. And my opinion is that they have to consider it as a serious career option to prepare for Indian Forest Service examination, because most of it is associated with CSE examination, except for 2 options that you have to study.
Absolutely.
So a very, very good strategy for all the aspiring candidates is, okay, to be very clinical in the approach that we have talked about, and at the same time, if you can actually bring about, okay, some approach of, okay, some approach of strategy towards the examination, okay, then it would be easy to clear the examination. Okay, this has been actually a very enlightening experience for all of us students and myself too. Okay, and lastly, but okay, I always feel that the quality of the teacher, it gets enhanced by the student that he teaches. And in this regard, okay, I have been really, really grateful to you, Gurharsh, because of you, I always used to, okay, wake up very early in the morning in order to study. Okay, I add some good value to you guys in class. Okay, and particularly you. So it has been really, really wonderful teaching you. And today, looking at you in the place that you are, I don't know, I'm feeling some sense of pride within myself. Okay, that one of my students is there in Indian Forest Service. Okay, so this has been a very, very good interaction. And I hope so that you will be continuing your honesty, humility, and integrity in the service too. Okay, and with this very, very good intention, I'll call off the meeting for now. Okay, so it's been really, really good talking to you.
Thank you so much, sir. And to have you as my teacher has been my source of happiness as well. Because we all remember your wonderful jokes. That always lightened our sessions. And of course, it was so nice to learn things from you. It was your notes for history, etc., that I've always kept referring, never had to see any other source. And even the other conversations that we have had apart from classes, they are still very, very fond memories in my mind. And of course, reaching here is just the start. And really, I hope that there is so much to be done for the environment in the years to come. Today, the world is talking about sustainable development. And it is really to this service who have the main charge of protecting the environment and the pristine natural source to really live up to this challenge that our particular generation is facing. So I think it is a good time for people to choose to be in the environment for a service.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.